A former cruise ship employee shared 6 things she would never do as a cruise passenger. Do you do any of them? Let's talk about it next. Welcome back to Making Waves. Thanks for being here today. Well, a news article recently showed up in my feed about a former cruise ship employee by the name of Tammy Barr. She worked on a cruise ship for 3 years, but now she sails regularly as a passenger, and she shared 6 things that cruisers should not do. And so I thought it would be interesting to go through those and maybe talk about them. So let's get started. So her first tip was that you should never pay for an upcharge or surcharge in the dining room. So for things like lobster or filet mignon, or perhaps even an extra entree. And her reasoning behind this is that these charges can add up over the course of your cruise and they're really not necessary. Now, I'm not so sure I completely agree with this one. Yes, I think it's important to keep track of expenses while you're on your cruise and don't have a big surprise at the end. But for me, it's my vacation. If I want to pay extra to have a lobster, I'm going to do that because that's not something I eat in my everyday life. So I'm not sure that I completely agree with her about that. Ms. Barr's second tip is to avoid purchasing a drinks package. And her reasoning behind this is that unless you're going to consume 12 to 15 alcoholic drinks per day on your cruise, it probably isn't worth it. And I agree with her to some extent, but remember there are some drinks like sodas, specialty coffees, that on many lines are included in that specialty drinks package. And so if you drink a lot of those things, it might be worth it to purchase a drinks package. I think the important thing is to really do your research, understand what beverages are included in your standard fare, and if you do purchase a drinks package, make sure it's worth it for you and make sure you understand exactly what that package covers. But the third tip that Tammy shared is to never touch communal surfaces with your fingers. And she states in the article that elbows and knuckles will do the trick. Now, while I agree with her in theory, I just don't think this is practical, right? There's lots of surfaces you're going to touch on a cruise ship. And for example, say you are out enjoying some sun on the pool deck and you need to use the restroom. Are you going to go all the way up to your cabin to use the restroom? Well, some people might, but chances are a public restroom is closer. And so really to me, the more important message is to just practice good hygiene. Wash your hands regularly. I like to take a little bottle of hand sanitizer with me, and if I do touch any common surfaces, including things like menus in the dining rooms, I do use that after each of those. The fourth tip that she shared is to never wear your cruise card in a lanyard around your neck. And her reasoning for this? Well, she said she has often seen passengers do this to flaunt their loyalty status with the cruise line, and it looks pretentious. What do you all think about this? I think that's absurd. Now, I personally don't typically wear my SeaPass or cruise key in a lanyard around my neck. I keep it in my phone case. My phone case has lots of card slots, and I keep it there. But I absolutely see the convenience of doing this, right? It means you don't have to carry a wallet or your purse because cruise ships are cashless. You use your cabin card for everything. So if you have a drinks package, it's just easy if it's around your neck to have the bartender scan that. If you're making a purchase, they can just scan your card. And I'm going to be honest with you, I have never looked close enough at anyone's lanyard to even notice their loyalty status or even their cabin type. But one aspect of this that I do agree with her on is that she states that you should never wear that lanyard with your cruise key card around your neck when you are visiting a port. And I think that's probably good advice. She says this is because it just screams, hey, I'm a tourist, come rob me. Now, to be honest, when we are in foreign countries visiting, I think the locals can tell that we're tourists regardless. But I do think that's probably good advice not to really call attention to it in that manner. So this is a partial agree from me, but I would love to know your thoughts. The fifth tip that Tammy Barr shared in the article was that if you want to be seen as a savvy cruiser, you should not use the word the when referring to the ship. So for example, saying, I'm going to go cruise on the Celebrity Edge next week, or I'm going to be on the Disney Wish next week. She says you should just say, I'm going to be on Celebrity Edge, or I'm going to be on Disney Wish. Well, that might be true, but I'm going to be honest. I've never even noticed if somebody puts the word the ahead of the ship name. And if they did, I certainly wouldn't think of them as a less savvy cruiser. So my reaction to this one is, does anyone really care? If I hear someone say, I'm going to be on the Disney Wish next week, I don't think I would even notice that that was improper. So I really thought that one was pretty interesting, and I don't agree with her on this one. Lastly, she warns us to not plan tight itineraries at port stops. And why? Because you don't want to be a dreaded pier runner that we've all seen videos about. And certainly you don't want to miss your ship. So I think this is advice that probably we can all agree with, right? So if you're planning your own excursion that is not a ship-sponsored excursion, it is really important that you pay attention to those departure and return times and that you're aware of the all aboard time on the ship so that you're not a pier runner and, God forbid, you don't miss your ship. All right, those were her 6 tips. I'll link the article below if you want to read it in full. But I would really love it if you would share your comments about which ones you agree with and maybe which ones you don't. As always, I so appreciate you taking time to watch. And until next time, happy cruising.